There was only one NBA game on Sunday, but it's rewind time. There were 14 on Saturday, so let's look at all 30 NBA teams, what they did the last time we saw them. Michael Bolton, can you handle it?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I love gold. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there is no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com. That's where we've got newsletters, your favorite NBA team. You sign up, they're free, they get into your inbox, it's done, and then you come back, double bang these. Audio, video, thumbs, comments. We know how it goes, don't we? It's National Chocolate Cake Day. The way you should celebrate that is by not eating chocolate cake. Terrible cake, worst cake. Yuck cake. I really love chocolate cake. It stinks, it's the worst, don't eat it. Fire your comments below. If you eat chocolate cake, I actually think less of you as a person. Let's talk about the games, because there's 15 games that we're going to talk about. 14 from Saturday, 1 from Sunday. 15 games, 30 teams. We'll just get straight into that. Yeah, let's get right in straight now. The first game was one of the ones over in Paris, the second Paris game, Indiana and the San Antonio Spurs. Both of these teams actually went into this game without any lineup adjustments, so that's good to know. But the results of the two games couldn't have been more different. In this one, we had the Spurs getting the victory 140-110. Is it right? Am I looking at the right thing here? 140. I feel like I'm not. Something's wrong there. Hang on. No, I know what happened now. It was, I had the first Paris game up, but it's all updated now. The Pacers, it was a complete reversal of fortune. 40-point victory this time to the Pacers. 136-98. Of course, that's officially 38 points, but that's okay. That's on the Pacers side of things. Halliburton played only 28 minutes. He had 28 points, 6 threes, 2 steals, 2 blocks. That's great. What we also got was another solid Andy Nembhard game. 32 minutes, 15, 8, and 9 with 3 steals. He only took 9 shots. It did require him getting 9 assists and 3 steals to put up good numbers. And he's putting up solid numbers. I still don't think that we need to be considering Andrew Nembhard as a must-roster player, just because there is it's too hard for him to do enough on a consistent basis. And we're talking about a scenario again here where the Pacers have just 2 games this week. Miles Turner played more minutes here, 14 with 3 blocks in his 35, while we only got 21 Bennedict Mathurin minutes, and his production, it is falling. I don't think that you need to hold on to Mathurin in 12-team formats.
Get that garbage out of here.
He had 13, 3, and 1. He took just 2 free throws, while Neesmith played 21 minutes and had 9, 5, and 2. And I think the presence of Neesmith there is going to hurt both Mathurin and Nembhard long term. We got 16 McConnell minutes, 12, 5, and 5. Pretty good. Pretty solid, but nothing that overall we need to worry about. What is also interesting is that Jarris Walker, 5 minutes. We thought somebody was going to move out of the rotation when they were fully healthy, and that person is Jarris Walker. So that did happen. On the Spurs side of things, Wemby played 36 minutes despite the huge loss, 20 and 12 with a block and 2 threes. Definitely not his best, but it's okay. While the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Oops. Try again. Barnesy. That's another solid game from Barnes. 25 and 7 with 3 threes. He shot the absolute lights out. And this is balance. So this is what he does. You'll get a 3 or 4 game stretch where he shoots 80%. He has 20 points. And then he'll have 2 points with nothing for the next 6 weeks. So sure, stream maybe if you want. I wouldn't get overworked with it. Devin Vassell had 6 points in 33 minutes. That stinks. He did have 2 blocks, so that helps. And then with the game being a blowout, we got way more minutes for Steph Castle. He played 32 minutes. But he basically played all of the fourth quarter. Castle had 17, 6, and 6, but took 20 shots more than anybody on the team. Not a realistic thing as we move forward either. I would not be bothering with him in 12s, and it was a down game from Sohan, who played 14 minutes only for 2 points. Again, this is a blowout. I would be rostering Sohan. But what I think is really interesting, 11 minutes only for Keldon Johnson, 11 minutes only for Julian Champagnie. Now, these guys are still rostered in some 12-team leagues and even some 14-team leagues where I don't really think we need to do that. And you saw how much they are deprioritizing Champagnie in particular, but also Keldon Johnson in this particular game. We'll go on to the second game of the day from Saturday, which was the Minnesota Timberwolves hosting the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets trotted out the same starting lineup. They got cooked, as every game is a blowout. The Denver plays apparently 133-104. Murray played 35 minutes. He had 25 and 5. Cool, good stuff. Jokic had 20 points, 11 assists, which for him is actually a down game. Westbrook, 28 minutes, 13, 6, and 4. Solid enough. But what we wanted to watch is Christian Braun, who played 26 minutes. He had 10, 5, and 3. He shot 50%, but he took one free throw, had no defensive numbers, and I will maintain my position. It is totally reasonable for you to have Christian Braun if you want him, but also absolutely do not need to. He is a low upside. He's like, I know that he replaced him in the starting lineup, but he's a worse three-point shooting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. A guy that can have some numbers, but overall, what's the point of him being on your 12-team roster? The poop cookie Michael Porter had 11 points with 3 threes, while Peyton Watson did his thing. He had a steal, he had 3 blocks, but only 18 minutes. Solid enough from Aaron Gordon, 13, 3 and 2, 2 threes, like that's okay. But I like Brown. You can have Aaron Gordon on a 12-team roster, but I don't think you need to. I think he's okay if you want to drop him, like the upside's not high enough. The minutes are still restricted enough that it doesn't matter that much if you have Aaron Gordon or if he sits on your bench. On the Timberwolves side of things, because it was a blowout, we got 20 minutes of Rob Dillingham, 10, 5, and 4, 2 threes. Remember that. That is a blowout. The game before, he played 10 minutes. Rob Dillingham, I don't think has had any shot of 10 or 12 or 14 team league value. Mike Conley, because it was a blowout, only played 23 minutes. So they're going to do everything they can to keep Conley safe. Safe, that sounds ridiculous, but you know what I mean. To keep him not hurt. 23 minutes, 9 points, 5 assists, 3 steals. 5 assists and 3 steals. Really good. He's not a must, Mike Conley, but I do think there is at least a marginal level of 12-team stream appeal for certain stats. Gobert had 14 and 14 with 4 steals, but no blocks, but solid. Randall, 21, 7 and 7, and Goose Edwards, 34 with 9 assists. And he was elite with the shooting, which after some disappointing games from Edwards, that is really good to get that one back. And then Jaden McDaniels somehow continues to be good. I talked about it on the waiver wire show earlier today. I don't really trust it, but 13 and 8. 4 assists, a steal, a block, and a 3. That's good enough in 12s. And they've got a really solid schedule period coming up here. Naz Reid, bit down, but who cares? 2 steals, 2 blocks, 13 points. That's good enough. We hold him. It's looking better for him than what it did maybe 3-4 weeks ago, where he was really struggling to make any sort of an impact that was large enough for us to care about. Let's go on to the next game. We're talking Boston and Dallas. The Celtics win at 122-107. The Celtics were fully healthy in this game. Porzingis, 18, 4 and 5 with 2 blocks. Derek White, 23, 5 and 4. Bad field goal percentage, but we know how poorly White had been playing with really low usage and everything was sort of way down. That's an encouraging game. Al Horford's also popped up on the injury report for Monday. He played only 19 minutes here. You do not need to be rostering Al Horford in 12-team leagues at all. While Jaylen Brown just had a disaster free throw day, 2 of 6. He ended up with 22, 8, and 6, but that is just horrid. And it was another disappointing game from Peyton Pritchard. He played 27 minutes, but he took 4 shots. He had 6 points. The 4 assists are fine, but we're not getting enough out of Pritchard to label him as an absolute must roster, I don't think. The Dallas side is interesting because there is just a million guys for them continually getting hurt. At least Klay Thompson returned. That meant Kessler Edwards moved to the bench. We'll start with Klay. He played 26 minutes and 6 points, 2 threes, no assists. He took 4 shots. He's bad. You don't need to roster him. Gafford played 33 minutes, 19 and 15 with 3 blocks, and he is going to get every single opportunity to put up big numbers because not only is Derek Lively out for a long time, maybe the rest of the regular season, but Maxi Kleber now broke his foot in this game, and he is going to be out for, I'm guessing, the regular season. The other big man is Dwight Powell, who, guess what, is also out, not necessarily for as long, and the other big man is Markieff Morris, who is Markieff Morris. So they waived Jason Gortman today, a 2-way guy, and signed 7-footer Kyle O'Kelly, who I believe, I'm wrong, might be wrong. I think he played for the Lakers in preseason. But anyway, he's a big man. And the only other big man on this roster for tomorrow's game, it's Gafford and it's Kyle O'Kelly. And again, if you want to include Markieff Morris, maybe. Quentin Grimes had 20 points, but he played only 26 minutes. It's just so hard to trust the role that he plays on a nightly basis. He's streamable to me, but not must-rostered. Dinwiddie had 12, 3, and 2. That's not as good. And then PJ Washington. Wow, we got fully good twos-owed here. He played 40 minutes, so you should love that. 17, 8, and 3. Okay. 31 from the field stinks. And then he went 7 of 11 from the free throw line, 8 of 11 for 73%, which is just such high volume. And we know that he is just an unbelievable fluctuation player in terms of shooting numbers. And you're going to get good ones, and then you get some of the worst of the worst. That is the downside of Paul Washington Jr. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Super Bowl 59 is here, and by the time you'll listen to this, you probably know who's in it. I don't, because I haven't looked, but maybe should I look? Should I have a look? Who is winning the NFL championship games? And I can tell you who's going to be in. Well, all I know at this point is that the Philadelphia Eagles are in. They beat the Commanders. So there you go. And the other game is still going. We're going to get that annoying Super Bowl, aren't we? But that's okay, because with FanDuel Sportsbook, well, you know what you can do? Well, you can just bet on all the different things, live betting during the game. Who's going to score the first touchdown? Who's going to win the coin toss? Who's going to win the game? Who's going to win the match? All of that is available on FanDuel Sportsbook. And when you place a $5 bet, your first one, and win it, you get $200 in bonus bets. And you can use that on the Super Bowl as well. So download the app and head to FanDuel.com and get started. That is betting $5. And if you win that $5, you get $200 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com, bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, what's the next game? Well, that's 3 games out of our 15 that we've done. Let's go on to the next one. It is your Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets. A bit to talk about on this one, I think. We'll start with the Miami side. This is the final game of Jimmy Butler's second suspension, but they made another change to the starting lineup. You wouldn't have read about it. Imagine Eric Spoelstra making another starting lineup change. Pelle Larsson moved to the bench, and no, it wasn't Jaime Jaquez Jr. that started. It was Haywood Highsmith, which it worries me a little bit that he would go back to Highsmith, because all I could worry about now is the next game Jimmy Butler starts and Ware moves to the bench and Highsmith stays at the 4. Yuck, yuck, yuck. If that happens, I don't know. The Heat win at 106-97. Little Chungus played 31 minutes. Nikola Vucevic, 17, 6 and 4, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 threes. He is on a huge hot streak, and I just think he needs to be rostered. As for Jaquez, 26 minutes, 9 points, 29%. One of the most outrageous draft overreactions ever was this guy. Oh, actually, was it this one or was it Dalton Connect this year? I don't know. Outrageous draft overreactions. And also, I will continue to state this because I know people don't listen to every word I say. Fine, I wouldn't want to either. In fact, I don't, and I'm the one saying them. But Jaquez is doing this when Butler is not there. So stashing him for a Butler trade makes 0 sense. None. No sense at all. None. He's bad. He's not even doing the thing that you want him to do in the best case scenario. So Jaquez, useless. Duncan Robinson played 33. He had 15 with 7 rebounds and 3 threes. He's a solid enough 3-point streamer. And then Pelle Larsson went from starting to playing 5 minutes. That's the Haywood Highsmith cycle. As for Ware, because that's the one I think people are going to worry about, he played 23 minutes. That's not good at all. 7 points, not good. He shot 27%, obviously not good. Did that contribute to him playing those fewer minutes? Maybe, but that's good usage. He had 3 steals, he had 2 blocks, he still grabbed 6 rebounds. Now, if he moves back to being strictly a backup center only, then you panic. Well, panicking doesn't do anything, but then you reassess whether you hold him. Now, in a bad game when he gets 3 steals and 2 blocks, you don't worry about it. You go, okay, well, let's monitor it, but that's still fine. That's still fine. Adebayo had 17 and 16. That's great. And Hero dropped in 25 with 8 assists and 2 steals. And actually, it was one of Terry Rozier's better games. For 30 minutes for Rozier, 16 and 8, 2 threes. And I'll tell you now, I just don't care. I don't think that we're adding Rozier. He would need to show me a lot more for me to take him off watch. For the Brooklyn Nets, D'Angelo Russell moved into the starting lineup. Tyrese Martin moved to the bench. There was no Thomas. There was no Johnson. There was no Simmons. And there was no Bogdanovic. Of course there wasn't. He's never going to play. But D'Lo continues to be annoying. 22 points in 26 minutes is excellent. 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 6 assists is unbelievable. He hit 4 threes, but I don't know if he's going to play any game. I don't know what he's going to do. How long is he going to play for? What are they going to do if him and Simmons play together? For now, we just hold Russell, and at some point, we know it's going to die. And then Keon Johnson, who'd gone down to 23 minutes a night, played 37. He had 22 with 3 threes, 4 assists and 3 steals, which is really good. He took 19 shots, which is a lot, and only 37% of them went in. So at the moment, we're looking at Johnson and we're treating him like a stream guy. Noah Clowney, another horrendous shooting night, 29%. Overall, the line is okay and I still am encouraged. 2 steals and a block, 13 points, 3 threes, 4 rebounds. Just shots need to go in, mate. And they were earlier in the season and now they're not, and now he's doing defensive stuff. It's all got to come together, and it hasn't, but I'm still somewhat encouraged. Claxton had 13 points. He played only 26 minutes. I think that we don't have to look at Claxton as a must roster. At least he was efficient in this game, but there's just so little effort at times from him that it is hard to get overly excited. While Tosan Evbomwan, who'd had a few decent games, he had 2 points in 21 minutes and only under 20 minutes again for Zaire Williams. He didn't hit a single shot, and he had 1 point with 5 rebounds. And yeah, he's pretty much in that Keon Johnson zone that maybe we can stream him, but also we're not going to feel super confident in it because of the types of players they are. The next game is the New Orleans Pelicans and the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets win it so easily, 123-92. For New Orleans, Jordan Hawkins started with DeJounte Murray out. Zion Williamson returned, and that meant that Jeremiah Robinson-Earl went to the bench, and Zion had 28 and 11 and played 26 minutes in an absolute asking. It's good that he played. It's good that we got the numbers, but we have to be really worried about what is actually going to happen with this team because they are terrible. What did happen, though, was Jordan Hawkins played 39 minutes, and that's the thing that you want to look, 39 minutes. He only had 14 points. He shot 42%. Those two things are not good. But he had 3 steals, he hit 2 threes, and they lent into him. BJ Boston is pushing up with a 50-game two-way contract limit issue, so they are just keeping him out of games, and that means more for Hawkins. It also means more for Jose Alvarado, who played 32 minutes. He had just 6 points, Jose, but he had 5 assists. But remember, the DeJounte was out. But they're just names to remember for a little bit later on in the season. Trey Murphy had 16, 4 and 5, 2 steals. That's a great game. While, again, our fears are there. Zion played. Eve Messi got 19 minutes. He had 12 and 8 with a block, but the fit is bad. The ability to find minutes, and this is without DeJounte or Ingram or Herb. That is terrible for Messi. Now, I would probably try to hold. But, yeah, he's had best case scenarios already, Messi, and he's been, like, I would say kind of mid. I know some people say how awesome he's been. I would disagree with that. I think he's been kind of mid. And if you are in a shallow format and you wanted to move on, I actually think it would be a reasonable decision to do that. The Hornets side of things, they made a lot of changes to their lineup. It was the second game of a back-to-back, so LaMelo Ball started again. Micic went to the bench. Miles Bridges returned. Cody Martin went to the bench. Or did he? Yep, Cody Martin went to the bench. What am I talking about? No, Cody Martin was out. He was out injured. I think he's going to miss a little bit of time here. And then Taj Gibson started with Mark Williams resting. Williams will be back for the next game. But of course, it wasn't Gibson that got the value. It was Moussa Diabate, who played 29 minutes, had 9 and 13 with a steal and a block. And in the games where Mark sits, Diabate will be streamable. Micic, who was terrible starting the game before, came off the bench and had 11, 2 and 4, 2 steals in 24 minutes. I'll figure that out. You can't. That's the problem. Bridges had 22 points. Ball had 25, 5 and 7. Good games from those guys. But Nick Smith, it was not a good game. We got more Micic than Smith. He played 23 minutes, Nicky. He had 5, 1 and 1. That's terrible. Reminder, he's not a good player. But I do think he's going to get every opportunity to continue to play solid enough minutes, at least unless Trey Mann returns. We have to open our eyes a little bit to Josh Okogie. 20 minutes for him. 2 steals, 2 blocks. Now, I would need to see 29 a night from him to be a 12-team option, but those minutes are okay. And then Seth Curry also chipped in for 16 points with 4 threes. But of course, Mark Williams will be back in the next game, and that'll change a few of those rotations around. Let's go on to the next game here, the 6th game of the day. We're talking Detroit and the Orlando Magic. The Magic get it, 121-113. Cade had 25, 5 and 11. Very, very good game from him with 2 steals. Asar Thompson played 30 minutes. And that's eye-opening. And we figure out why. Why did it happen? Well, Toby Harris left with a head injury. It's not a concussion. He's got a post-traumatic headache. So we'll see whether Asar continues to do that or not. But that's 16 and 5, 4 steals and a block. Very encouraging. Minutes pushed up a little bit the game before anyway. So I would look at Asar and go, I'm interested a little bit now. I'm more interested. Duran had 10 and 8 in 32 minutes, while Beasley dropped in his 18 in 30 minutes. We know what he is. Points and threes. That's it. You get it. Everything else, absolute bonus. Not much else really going on here, I don't think. Like Harris, yeah, like we know he's on the verge of being droppable anyway. 2 points in 17 minutes is clearly not good, but then he got hurt, and now you at least can maybe put him in IL Plus and see where we go from here. But we are rapidly moving to Toby being a drop. I'm not doing it, personally. I'm not dropping him yet, but we are moving there pretty quickly. On the Magic side of things, an interesting game. Jalen Suggs returned. That meant that Mr. Black went back to the bench. Cole Anthony was also back. He stayed on the bench. Black played 19 minutes. He had 5 points. He had 2 assists. And this is the thing with Anthony Black. He'll put together 3 good games and you go, oh my God, let's go. All right, something interesting's happening. And then he does this. And you go, well, that now we move on. But then Jalen Suggs played 16 minutes with knee soreness. And he's officially questionable for Monday, Suggs. Suggs had 8, 2, and 3. So if Suggs is out again, is it Anthony? Is it Black? Is it Anthony Black? Is it Cole Anthony? I don't know. I wouldn't feel good about any of them, honestly. Franz Wagner. Just, what he scored, 25 points in the fourth. He ended up with 32, 4, and 7, which is obviously awesome. And Paolo, who'd been struggling, still was terrible from the line, 7 of 14, but 50% overall, 32, 9, and 7, and played 40 minutes. So his minutes limit is done. We also got 32 Wendell Carter Jr. minutes. 11, 11. Like, that's not good enough. And when Goga returns, maybe Monday, probably Monday, I don't see how we'd want to have Wendell on a 12-team roster. John Isaac also just put his head up and go, hey, remember me? I can be good. 14 and 5, 1 steal, 3 blocks. Awesome. And now he'll probably have 0 points in 16 minutes in the next game and be completely useless. While Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, with everyone back, had 7 points in 37 minutes, and you should feel comfortable moving on. Yeah, you should feel pretty comfortable moving on from Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. We're going to come back. Well, let's look at the next game. Which game is this one? That's the Kings and the New York Knicks. We'll start on the Kings side of this. They went with the same lineup. They got killed. 143 to 120. Easy win for the Knicks. It's a really easily obvious pattern for the Kings. Keon Ellis played 17 minutes. He had 6 points. He had a steal and a block. That's it. Like, that's what's happening. He plays 17 or 20 minutes, around that mark. If someone's hurt, he'll play more. If they're not, he won't. So it's a stash because it's not usable now. Whether you can afford to do that and get someone like this who's the 170th best player, that's up to you. You might be able to. A lot of people will. Some won't. Sabonis had 25, 13, and 12, while Malik Monk had 31, 3, and 9 bounce back because his game before was pretty poor. And DeRozan did another game where he just doesn't get assists anymore. He somehow hit 2 threes, DeMar, but 18, 3, and 2 with 2 threes. And then Keegan Murray also racked up the defensive numbers. 12, 8, and 4, 3 steals and 2 blocks. And that is a very, very good game from Keegan. De'Aaron Fox, I am very worried about his finger. Another horrendous shooting night. 30% on 20 attempts kills you. 14, 1, and 4 is bad, and he is struggling. And that finger, I think, is causing some real shooting problems. Will it heal if he doesn't take time off? I don't know. I don't think it will. And I'm a little bit worried about where his field goal percentage sits from here to the rest of the season. It's worrying. The Knicks. There's never a lot to talk about New York style. Same lineup for them. Josh Hart was questionable heading into the game. He is questionable for their game on Monday. With knee soreness, he played 40 minutes in a 23-point victory, and he put up an unbelievable line. 20 and 18, 11 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He has been one of the best players, one of the best picks in all of fantasy. I am very worried about this insane minutes load they are giving him, or any of these players. Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, they did it. They did it. All it took was playing against the Kings, but they did it. Big shooting numbers, big scoring numbers in the same game. Bridges had 27, 5, and 7. Anunoby had 33, 3, and 4, 2 steals and a block. Massive. You know what else is massive? Jalen Brunson had 25 with 11 assists and 4 threes, but Towns didn't do much. In fact, he shot poorly. I'm a bit worried about Towns' thumb. The shooting numbers and the threes are well down after he hurt that thumb. He had 18 and 15 in his 28 minutes. But, there's nothing else to talk about here. We had 13 Landry Shamet minutes and 18 Precious Achiuwa minutes, but they don't mean anything. We just need to make sure that someone like Hart is not actually hurt, because if he is, then we need to find a replacement for him, which, not going to be easy to do, is it? The next game, the Cleveland Cavaliers took on the Houston Rockets. The Rockets win it 135-131. Amen played 41 minutes, 23, 14, 10, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Ridiculous game. And he was 7 of 10 from the line. I would always be receptive to a sell high trade offer because I just don't think he plays 41 a night. Will he still be good? Yeah. Has he proven to be good? Yes. Will they move Dylan Brooks to the bench so Amen Thompson can play 40 minutes? Very unlikely. Will Jabari Smith coming back have no impact on his minutes? Also very unlikely. But for now, he is cooking. And Tari Eason, I am a little worried. 22 minutes for Eason only, 4 points. 1 steal, 1 block. But the way that the minutes have trended down after coming back from the leg soreness is hopefully not a harbinger of that leg being sore again and leading to more time off. I'm holding him, but that's bad. Jalen Green bounced back with good counting stats. 26, 3 and 4 with 5 threes. Now, the efficiency wasn't quite there, but he got to the line 7 times, which is awesome. So after a couple of down games, he bounced back, which we love. And Van Vliet had 20 points with 6 assists and 6 threes, and he's been in a nice little run of form. Şengün, yeah, that's really bad from the line, 54%, but the other stuff is pretty good, 26, 8 and 3. He's been pretty disappointing, I would say, over the last 3 to 4 weeks, Şengün. But they get the win. I'm not sure they're going to worry too much about it. And there's not really much you can do in a fantasy setting either from Şengün, who they just seem to be just peeling back a little bit of his value. For the Cavs, Evan Mobley returned, Dean Wade was out, and Wade and Okoro and LeVert are out again on Monday. Garland was awesome, 39, 3, and 9, and hit all of his free throws and went 64% from the field. That is fantastic. Donovan Mitchell, 33, 3, and 7 with 2 steals and a block. Great. We also got a very good Max Strus game, 35 minutes, 14, 9, and 4 with 2 threes. Awesome. Is Strus reliable? I don't think so. He shot 75%. We needed LeVert, Wade, and Okoro all being out to get those minutes. So if you wanted to stream him short term, go for it. But I don't think we're locking in these minutes. Jarrett Allen, 29 minutes only. That's a bit of foul trouble, 8 and 5. And Mobley played 29 in his return, just shot horribly from the field and the line. We love that he's back, but we hate that actual performance. And then Milk had 6 points. Ty Jerome, he shot 13%. I think he'd hit 11 threes consecutively before this game, and that's really what it is with Milk. He needs multiple players out and needs to go on otherworldly shooting streaks. You do not need to roster Ty Jerome in 12-team leagues at all. You can stream him in, but that's actually just about it. You're not sitting on him and go, oh, maybe, because the answer to the maybe is absolutely not. It's not happening. Do not dream it up. The Raptors and the Hawks. Toronto wins at 117-94 on the road. Scotland Barnes, 24, 11, and 7. 2 steals, 2 blocks. An amazingly good game. Jakob Poeltl, 9 and 9, 3 steals and a block. Not that good. And now he's on the injury report for Monday with back soreness or back tightness or something. Not ideal. There was no Olynyk in this game. There was no Abaji in this game. There was no Quickly. So you know what that meant? Chris Boucher. 21 minutes for Boucher. 23 points, 3 threes, and a block. We've seen this story a few times before. But if Poeltl and Olynyk and Abaji are going to remain out, it's worth at least considering Boucher as a stream. You have no confidence in it, but consider it. And those of you in deeper leagues, Orlando Robinson played 21 minutes. You go, who? I go, yeah, the guy that used to be for Miami and then was with Sacramento earlier this season and now just signed a second 10-day with Toronto. Robinson only had 4 and 6, but he had a steal, he had 2 blocks, and he shot really uncharacteristically poorly. He could easily have had a 10 and 6 with a steal, 2 blocks game, and if Poeltl and Olynyk are out, that might actually be something that's useful, weirdly enough. Bruce Brown played 27 minutes. It's the most he's played, but it's also the worst game he's had in the last week. 8 and 5 with a steal. I do not believe that Brown is a 12-team league guy, and I'm also very confident that we don't need this much dick in our lives. 14 minutes for Grady. He had 5 fouls. He had 6 points. He shot poorly. We do not need dick on 12 rosters, apart from as a streaming guy. That is it. Barrett had 23, 8 and 4, which is pretty good. On the Atlanta side of things, and some updates to the Hawks' injuries from Monday as well. But let's talk about this game, because Jalen Johnson was out, and they just brought him back out of nowhere. Larry Nance started, which I did not expect. I did not think that Nance was going to be into that rotation at all, and we haven't always seen him be even playing minutes at power forward, but he did it here. And let's talk about what he did. He had 4 points. He shot 20%, so a decent amount of shot attempts in 20 minutes. Now, for tomorrow's game, Johnson's out. Yes. Nance is back on the injury report as questionable, but Trae Young is also out. DeAndre Hunter is also questionable. But Ricochet is questionable too. So there's a million moving parts and pieces. So last time they started Krejci and Ricochet, or it could be Krejci and Hunter, or could it be Hunter and Nance, or Ricochet and Nance? I don't know. There's a lot of different moving parts. And then what do they do at point guard? Because Keaton Wallace is playing in the G League Sunday, and the Hawks play Monday, Tuesday. He won't play back-to-back-to-back. Do they call him up and get him there for Monday's game? Or do they run Dyson Daniels and Vic Krejci as the point guards, opening up Hunter, Ricochet, Nance for more of those minutes at the 3 and the 4? Don't know. As for Krejci, 20 points, 6 threes, 7 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I just think you got to roster him. I think he's absolutely a must-roster player at this moment. Okongwu, 19, 8 and 5, 4 steals and a block. Love that. While Capella played just 14 minutes. Yuck. Nance was back. Capella was limited. I think in a bench role like this, it is very hard to justify holding on to Clint Capella. Bogdan Bogdanovic, who was really good the game before, had 4 points on 17%. So yeah, maybe not a steal and a block for him, but like that shooting, which has been the problem all season, was not there. And then Trae Young, like I said, he was bad here. 16 and 4. He shot poorly from the line. He shot poorly from the field. He is struggling with his shot at the moment, and now he's out on Monday. Hamstring and lower body stuff has plagued him all season. So we might get an opportunity for Keaton Wallace to be streamable on Monday. But there are 12 games on, so I wouldn't go overboard with it. Not much else going on here. Dyson Daniels, just another casual 5 steals with 6 assists and 13 points. Another excellent game from him. You want to talk confusing? Well, let's go on to the next 2 teams. That is the Utah Jazz and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Jazz lose 125-103, but they decided that with all of the randomness in the world, that, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bench Keontae George. Not Colin Sexton, mind you. Not a guy who's definitely not a part of our future. We're going to bench Keontae George and start Isaiah Collier. And John Collins, who'd come back from a million years out, played 1 game and now he's out with an illness. So he was out, so Svi Mykhailiuk started. And now, they've also updated the injury report for Monday. Walker Kessler's on there. Of course he is. He's questionable. John Collins is questionable. Cody Williams is out. We know that, but you know what else happened? Jordan Clarkson, who I did not think the man on the street would play again this season. He has a torn plantar fascia. He is now questionable. Why? I have no idea. So we're going to have Sexton, Collier, George, Clarkson. What are we going to do here? I would be trying to hold on to George and Collier as best as possible, but this is going to be incredibly confusing. Kessler had 11 and 10 with 2 steals and 2 blocks, but if he's out, Drew Eubanks is in, isn't he? That's great streaming. Svi Mykhailiuk had 16 points with 4 threes. He might play literally 0 minutes next game. Bryce Sensabaugh played 9 minutes for 3 points. Cool. Why? I don't know. Because they're just doing random stuff. Well, Keontae George was terrible. 8 points on 20%. That's bad, but he still played 33 minutes despite coming off the bench and had 7 assists, while Collier had 8 points with 8 assists and 2 steals and a block. And I think you tried and roster both of them, like I've said many times. Filipowski was fine, pretty good. In fact, I think he will have value at some point, but we're not there yet. 11, 2 threes, 2 assists. Cool. And then EJ Harkless played 22 minutes for some reason. 11 and 4 with 3 steals and a block for EJ. He's been at least a deeper league guy because he's getting minutes, but who knows, man. Collins, Clarkson could both play. Kessler might be out. There's just a million things that are going to change apparently every single day for Utah, and trying to keep track of it, even the things we think are safe, like George starting, are not. So, yeah, if you can figure that out, good luck to you. On the Memphis side, Ja Morant returned. That means that Kennard went to the bench, who had 4 points. Morant played a solid role. Let me have a look what he did. 26 minutes, 11 points and 7 assists because it was a blowout. But you know what that means? Against a bad team, Zach Edey gets to do stuff. 19 and 7, 2 steals and 5 blocks. Best game that he's had all season. This brings him to 136th over the last 2 weeks because against real teams, they don't want to trust him. Now, is this a catalyst to kickstart him into better play? Maybe. That is distinctly possible, but the pattern has been pretty clear. Good teams, you're not doing it, Zach. Bad teams, do whatever you want. And it works out. Jaren had another big game, 28 points, 2 threes and 2 blocks, and Bane had 17. And it was a solid Jalen Wells game, 16 and 4. But let's note one other player here. Bishop Jackson II, Greg Jackson, GG Jackson. He played 24 minutes, which is a lot. He had 15 and 6 with 2 threes, and someone's going to be saying, Josh, you said he wouldn't have value. But look at this. What's that? What's this sense like? Like, someone will say that. Surely. But there are reasons. No Aldama, no Smart, no Laravia, no Williams against Utah. That's a lot of things that had to happen for GG to do that. Now, Aldama is questionable for the next game, so is Laravia. Smart remains out. But if Aldama plays, if Laravia plays, Gigi's not playing 25 minutes. And I would not bother adding GG Jackson in 12 or honestly in 14-team leagues either. Would not be bothered with it. Let's go on to the next game. We are at the 11th game now. The Philadelphia 76ers and your Chicago Bulls. The Sixers ran out the same lineup and they beat the Bulls on the road because the Bulls suck. We know this, 109-97. Maxey is on an absolute run at the moment. He played 43 minutes. He had 31, 5 and 9, 2 steals and a block. Shot the lights out on huge usage. And if I could sell him high, I would. He is rolling as a first-round player. I don't believe that sticks, but I would try it. Kelly Oubre played another big minute game, 22 and 12 with 37 minutes. It was also Eric Gordon was able to get loose somehow, 13 with 3 threes and 2 steals. We're not rostering him outside of like 16 teamers. Paul George played 13 minutes. He had 9 points. He hurt a finger, and now he's going to be questionable for their next game. That would open things up a little bit for Justin Edwards, who did nothing. He had 3 points. He did have 3 steals, but importantly, he played 29 minutes, while Rick Council played 11. So we in deep leagues, we keep an eye on Justin Edwards. Gershon Yabusele, no Drummond, no Embiid, so he had 6 points in 29 minutes. Cool. He is very up and down, despite the role being given to him. And then Boner had 4 and 7 in his 19 minutes. Let's talk Bulls because, again, they're an annoying team. Absolutely. They're always annoying. They're an annoying franchise and they're an annoying team to talk about for one specific reason. Now Nick Vucevic is blocking shots. Come on. Come on. I've dealt with enough in my life. Bro comes out and shoots 90% on his twos and blocks 3 shots. Oh, yeah, and he had, I think 7 steals in the 2 games previous. You have never done this in your life, my guy. You're the best shooter in the world from 3, the best mid-range shooter, and now you're blocking shots and getting steals. How about you eat one of those? To be serious, I don't have any dislike for Vooch whatsoever. I just think that he is a below-average NBA starting center who is poor on defense, who has shot not very well, except for this season, and he has been great. And then he cooled off. And now he's ramped it back up with weird stuff. We'll see where it goes. But, yeah, what do I have more faith in? Vooch being a 46% three-point shooter or being a guy that gets 5 defensive stats every game? They both seem incredibly unlikely, yet somehow it keeps happening. Lonzo Ball started again, 9 points, 3 threes, 2 steals, 3 assists. He is a 12-team league option for now because they are playing him over Ayo Dosunmu, who played 28 minutes for 8 points. Dosunmu needs 33 plus. He needs another player out, and he is just not a particularly good and impactful player in my mind. You can hold him for now, absolutely, while Kobe is out, but it's not looking great at the moment. Giddey had 10, 10, and 7, and he is playing a million minutes too. They are prioritizing Giddey over Dosunmu. 38 minutes for Giddey, 10, 10, and 7 there. If you want to stash someone, maybe it is Jalen Smith in case Vooch gets traded. I don't think he will, but in case. And Levine had 25, 8, and 4. By the way, Pat Williams is terrible. He had 2 points on 11% shooting because, of course he did. Let's look at the next game. It is the Golden State Warriors hosting the Los Angeles Lakers. Dorian Finney-Smith started for the Lakers with Rui Hachimura out. The Lakers win at 118-108. Finney-Smith played 23 minutes. He had 8 points. He had 2 threes. That's great, but we just don't care. We don't care about Rui for fantasy. We don't care about Finney-Smith in most. And then we also got a bump for Dalton Connect. Connect had 13 points with 3 threes. He did nothing else, but the best thing he did was fall to pick 17 so all the other teams could suffer. Great stuff from Connect. We don't care at all in fantasy. Davis was awesome, 36 and 13. Reeves had 16, 5 and 7, and LeBron had 25, 5 and 12. The Lakers have a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back as well, so I guess we just watched the LeBron and Davis resting chances. It was a better Max Christie game. 11 and 8 with 3 threes, but you don't want him near your 12-team roster outside of streaming. There's not enough unless somebody is out. And the other thing that I haven't mentioned is Jared Vanderbilt returned. He played 13 minutes, 12 minutes actually, but he had 3 steals. And this is what Vanderbilt is. A very good defensive big man who gets steals with good field goal percentage. But I'm going to need to see 25 minutes from him to be even in consideration for standard leagues. And I don't think we're going to get there. I don't think we get there. And the Warriors, yeah. Very, very quickly, if they're not already there, becoming one of the worst teams to try and figure out. There was no Kuminga or no Green in this game. Trace Jackson-Davis played 14 minutes. Of course he did. He had 4 points in 33% shooting. It's very hard to justify holding him.
Get that cherry here.
Very hard. Quentin Post played 23 minutes, so now Post is the flavor of the month for Kerr. 8 points, 2 threes. Deeper leagues, you want to consider that. Moses Moody and Guy Santos Al-Helper had played really well. And then Moody had 10 points in 21, and Santos had 4 in 20. Can't trust them at all. The guy that did step up was Brandon Pajemski. 17, 3 and 5 with 2 steals. That's great. I would like him to get 28 before I consider him a 12-teamer, but, that's a good game. Wiggins had 20 and 6, and Dennis Schroeder played 22 minutes for 10 points. And hopefully you've all jacked off Dennis Schroeder.
Get that garbage out of here.
If you haven't, why not? Steph had 13 points. He had 9 assists. He shot 24%. It has been a pretty disappointing season from Steph this season. And, he's in some real struggles at the moment shooting-wise. And then Buddy had 10 points in 21 minutes. Buddy also, again, remains very much not particularly good. Let's do the next game, the Washington Wizards and the Phoenix Suns. The Suns win at 119-109. Jordan Poole, 19, 5 and 10. 6 steals, 1 block, elite stuff. And then Kyle Kuzma, who'd been doing nothing, decided he was going to be Kyle Kuzma and just dominate the ball. 24 shot attempts, 30 and 11 with 5 threes. That's a Kuzma. That's a massive Kuzma. This is what he keeps doing here. There's that cryptic quote at the end. I'm not fitting in anymore. Thanks, Kyle. Good teammate. I'm sure every team loves to get you onto their team, given how shitty you are. But, he scored 30 points, so oh well. Alex Sarr played 31 minutes, which is a great development. 11 and 6 with two blocks. He shot poorly as per usual, but the minutes are encouraging. And then they made another change. Bub Carrington moved to the bench. Okay. And Keyshawn George started. Carrington played 26 minutes, 11, 1 and 2. You're not holding him in 10 or 12s. And then Keyshawn George played 32 minutes and had 5 and 6. You're not rostering him in 12s either. It's just going to be frustrating as they figure out where everyone sits. Bilal had 12 and 4 with a block and he shot well, which is good. But still, I just always feel like I'm getting underwhelmed with Bilal at the moment. And Valanciunas had 16 points in his 17 minutes. He is a tough hold because the minutes just aren't always there. But that game is obviously not a bad one. The Phoenix side of the equation. They got the win against his team. The bad team, the Wizards, obviously. And let's talk about BDNR. Great game from Nick Richards. 20 points, 34 minutes, 19 rebounds. Lovely. Another 7 free throw attempt game. It is interesting that the 2 huge games you've had have been against terrible opponents. And we've had a real mixed bag. 2 very big games. 1 terrible game. And 1 middle pack game. And that's who he is. He's fine. He will have games like this. He did the Zach Edey diet of feasting on the garbage, which is fine. All the games count. My assessment of Richards still doesn't change. He runs hard. He goes up for lobs. He's not a very good player. He's a bad defender with poor hands. But he will have big games. He will have bad games. This is what he will do. We have to wonder what the hell do we do with Bradley Beal now, because he played 39 minutes with Ryan Dunn going down in the first 2 minutes. 20 points, 4 threes, 4 assists. That's great. Do they start him in the next game with Dunn out? Because Dunn is out the next game. I don't know. But that's encouraging to hold. Well, Tyus Jones had a better game as well. 16 points with 5 assists. And he'd been really quite poor. But interestingly, they played Royce O'Neal only 17 minutes. So does Mike Budenholzer just play O'Neal 28 in the next one and start him? That's entirely possible. Or does Grayson Allen start, who had 8 points with 2 threes? I don't care about O'Neal or Allen or Ryan Dunn for 12-team formats. But there's going to be a bunch of things moving around here to try and figure out what they do now with Ryan Dunn out and how Budenholzer wants to try and shape that. Let's look at the next game. This is the last game from Saturday. It is the Milwaukee Bucks and the LA Clippers. The Clippers win at 127-117. The Bucks rolled the same lineup out there, but without Bobby Portis. He's a bench player, obviously, but yeah, he didn't play. Chris Middleton was terrible. 0 points, 19 minutes, missed all 4 of his shots, and now they've got a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back, and he'll sit one of them. As good as Middleton can be, the hassle part of it is too big that you don't have to consider him a must. You can roster him, and in fact, most cases you should. But you don't have to, I don't think. Lillard had 29, 10 and 10. Giannis had 36 and 13. And Taurean Prince had one of his better games and played 37 minutes with Bob Portis out. 14, 6 and 4. We also got 41 minutes out of Brook Lopez, who had 13 points and 3 blocks. And we know that it's going to fluctuate back and forward with Lopez all season. It's back-to-back big ones from Gaz Trent. Trent had 19 points with 5 threes, but he shot 64%, and if there's one thing you want to trust Gary Trent to do, it's to not shoot that number as we move forward. So he's a streamable guy, especially while Big Boom AJ is out, and now Portis and maybe Middleton could be sitting as well. On the Clippers side of the equation, we'll get to that in a minute. There we go. Same lineup for them. It's a really busy time period, and Jim Harden was great. 40 points, 9 assists. Norman Powell, great. No steals, but 33 points, 36 minutes, 23 shot attempts. Kawhi still working his way back, 18, 3 and 4. And Zubats played just 28 minutes, but 12 and 8. Good numbers all around, and I'm not really sure what to gain out of this. There was no Chris Dunn. He'll be out again tomorrow. And Derek Jones played 28 minutes, but unlike the previous games, he did nothing. 4 points on 3 shots with 5 rebounds. He is a scramble-only player. It's a negative schedule period coming up for the Clippers, so don't be prioritizing Derek Jones in my mind. I wouldn't bother with that. And I'm not really sure what else we get out of that. I think it's good to see them put up those big numbers, but in terms of fantasy takeaways, not really huge amounts there. And now we can go to Sunday's only game. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Portland Trailblazers. The Thunder welcomed back didn't really get any advance notice of this. Isaiah Hartenstein was back. He started over Pig Williams. And then Aaron Wiggins started with Lou Dort out. The Thunder win at 118-108 is your final score here. Shea was brilliant as per usual, 35 and 5 with 3 steals. The Bronco had 24, 5 and 8 with 2 blocks and 2 threes. Inefficient, but great. And it was also another big Isaiah Joe game. 25 minutes, 16 points, 3 threes. I don't think we do anything more apart from streaming him on days like this. Pig Williams was also okay, but obviously his time as a 12-team or 14-team league guy is over. 6 and 7 there. Hartenstein played 33 minutes in his first game back, 14, 11, and 6. That's great, apart from the free throws. They also now just have 2 games in this upcoming week. The Hong Kong mattress, Cason Wallace, had 1 steal and 5 points. He played 30 minutes, which is great, but, would have liked a little bit more in the defensive stuff, and that's why you're rostering him, but the minutes are still strong, while Wiggins had 4 points in 16 minutes, and Caruso played 23 minutes. He shot poorly and got no defensive numbers, and when he doesn't get those, you get nothing. He is rostered in far too many leagues. Alex Caruso just absolutely does not need to be. You would drop Caruso in 10s and 12s and maybe 14s.
Get that garbage out of here.
We can go and talk about the Blazers now, the other side of this equation. They're going to be a really frustrating team, as we know. They're bringing both Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot off the bench. Scoot played 30 in this one, 25 and 5 with a steal and a block. That's great. But you know what that meant? Shaedon Sharpe played 19. 10 points for Sharpe, 30% shooting. I talked about this on the waiver wire show earlier today. I am not a big Shaedon Sharpe believer from fantasy. He needs outsized usage and 34 minutes. And he might get that. Maybe that happens in March. But now he is very clearly... I said he was a drop probably week 3, I reckon. Because I just don't believe in his fantasy value. And he hasn't really done much to dissuade me from that. But there are going to be moments where he does more. So it's really just a decision whether you can stash. But he's not good. Speaking of not good, Jeremy Grant had 2 points in 29 minutes. Also, don't think you need to hold him, honestly. I know the allure is there of Jeremy Grant being awesome. But he hasn't been. At all this season. He hasn't been awesome whatsoever. The only benefit you have of holding these guys is the Blazers have got a really strong schedule for this early part of the week. Simons had 14 points. Great. Kamara had a massive game. 11 shot attempts, 73%. He had 24, 9 and 4 with 5 threes. He is all over the shop. But they're pumping the minutes in. And Denny Avdia also got 28, 8 and 8. Huge game from Denny. Elite efficiency. Big games from those two, while Sharpe and Grant and Simons to an extent suffered. There was no Ayton here, but they started clinging over Rob Williams. And those two put together some of the worst lines you'll see. Donovan Clingan didn't hit a single shot. 0 of 4. As a center. He had 2 blocks. And Rob Williams said, sure, let me try that as well. He also went 0 of 4 and hit 1 free throw and had 10 rebounds. Clingan is worth holding for now, but again, I will maintain my thoughts. There is going to be some value in him if they give him a 25-minute a night role every night. No guarantee they do it, because let's be perfectly clear. He is not very good. I do not know whether he will become good or not. I would suggest he probably won't. But at the moment, as being an NBA-level NBA basketball player, that's words that I'm trying to say. At that moment now, he is not good at doing that, Donovan Clingan. So there might be times when old mate Chauncey Billups says, nah, I'm going to try Dwop Reith or Jabari Walker. You roster Clingan, you hold him, but again, he is not good. He is not this stud waiting to break out, I don't think. I would rather have him over Williams. I would try and hold on to Ayton, but this team is going to be very messy until we get like an official plug pull, which sometimes doesn't happen until we get weeks in and they just keep saying questionable, out, doubtful, and they never tell us anything. And I've got to try and dig around, and sometimes I can get that, and not always. I can't always get there, unfortunately for us. That's all 30 NBA teams. Now, last week I forgot on this Sunday recap show to do the industry pickup review. So let's go and do it. So let's look at this matchup on industry pickup. I was against Willie from Establish the Run, and I got the victory 5-4. The other scores, Karan Tawar beat Alex Burns 6-3. Kingy beat Jake from Fantasy Trash Talk 6-3. Joel beat Kyle McEwen 6-1. Josh and Evan beat Mitch Casey 8-1. And Angle beat Sam and Liam 8-1. So where am I on the standings in this league? 6th. Yeah, okay. Okay. So need to get a little bit of a move on. I probably will make the playoffs. It was important for me to beat Willie. I'd like to do a little bit more. Angle at the top, then Josh and Evan, Karan, Kingy, Joel, me, Willie, Jake, Kyle, Alex, Mitch, and Sam and Liam down the bottom. Let's check the scoring of some of my other leagues. Let's go to this. This is my other auction league that I did. My team is terrible in this one. I lost 5-4. Would have loved to get a 4-5 or get at least a victory, but I'm really struggling in that league. And then there is the head-to-head Roto Trial League that Kingy puts out, which I am... If I lose this league, I'm going to be so annoyed. We play every opponent every week. I had a 6-3, 7-2, 7-2, 7-2, 7-2, 5-4, 7-2, 7-2, 8-1. I've barely lost all season. In fact, out of all weeks that we've had, I'm 110-15. That's ridiculous. If I lose it, I'm going to be so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I could sit down and not play for 3 weeks, lose every matchup for 3 weeks, and I'd still be first. That's how far ahead I am at the moment. But, when you get to the playoffs, like anything can happen. And I hope it doesn't, and I hope I just keep rolling. In the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl category league, how did my matchups go in that one? Let's have a look. I had a loss there, 4-5 and 2-7. And then in the points league one, I think I won both of these matchups. So an even-ish sort of week. Let's look at the points league ones. Yeah, like a win there, an easy win, and another easy win. So a couple of points league wins, a couple of points league losses. And that's where we're at with that. But yeah, industry pickup. We'll go back and just show the final scores there. A narrow 5-4 win. Any of the categories particularly close? I don't think so. Nah, not really. Not really. Anyway, that's it for that. So we've got the update on that, and that will bring us to the end of a very weird day. Tomorrow, injury update show, Tuesday preview show, and a Monday recap show. We'll be here all for you. Hit the thumb on this video. That would be great if you could do that. Don't go and eat chocolate cakes. It is absolutely terrible, and I'll think less of you if you do it, but I won't think less of you if you recognize that you did something good today. And if you want to say it out loud and leave it in the comments, happy to hear it as well, because somebody's going to be really proud that you did that good thing. You might not know it, but it is important to focus on some good stuff at times. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.